You got the boys?
We are missing someone?
The boys.
Ah.
I thought she came through and they followed her. The boys are like, they do their own thing. They come through the gate on their own and they come back on their own. Right?
Boys will be boys.
Yeah. I don't know if they followed the Irish. Huh? I thought they came through with you or ahead of you. I don't know where they are then.
Before we go after Pete, I'm here in southern France, going into the Cathars area. Can you tell me something about what it means for you to live here at this place, and also what it means to, what do you think is the Cathar lifestyle or Cathar way of living?
To live here on what we absolutely believe is the old route between Frugax and Montsegur, so this would have been a Cathar route. You cannot get any closer to the history. I often feel like I've got one foot in one world and one foot in the other. And when you guys come to stay, it gets awfully blurred where those two paths are. What it means now to be a Cathar, I believe, is it's what we're experiencing. It's what you yourself have experienced with us this week. It's sharing, it's trust, it's love, it's showing up, it's attending to people. Yesterday, you and I went to attend to a friend who looks like she's passing on. And we were coming back in the car together saying, wow, this is quite rare to be able to show up for our friends and family in this very eyes wide open to what is actually happening, rather than pretending you'll be all right, you just need to change the medication. But to just be open and to anoint and to pray and to bring in So it's like we have returned. The Cathar prophecy expiring 2021. We have returned. We knew that last year. But now we're in service again.
Yes.
We're living it again.
Yes. Yes.
And the blessing that my father gave me, this house, is a place where it can actually start bubbling up.
Yes. And what I also experienced that when I connect to this energy here and this deeper dimension, the depth of the dimension that is here, I get all kinds of guidance. I know what to do and what not to do and where to go, and you got a sign you have to come here,
Yes,
right?
yes.
A few years ago.
Yeah.
Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Well, I first came to this house, like many of us, clutching a copy of the old manuscript, pointing at Lars Mull to the owner, saying, "Hello, I'm reading this book, and your house is featured here, and it mentions an earthquake. Is there any possibility I could come in and have a look?" So the white gates opened up, and in I went, and I remember being shown the whole property, coming away overwhelmed, going, "Whoa, massive!" They still had it as dormitories, so the big rooms had about 50 beds in, and there was rucksacks and towels and people's belongings, and I was like, "Oh!" So when Petey discovered it was for sale and gave me a nudge, I went, no. I've been in that place. It's huge.
Yes,
And I said,
it is.
"Petey, hundreds of people live there. Oh my God, it sounds like a community, and a really big one." I'm like, "No, I that's not home. That's not cozy." And he said, "Look at it again. It's got the spring. It's got the chapel. It's got the history. Last Moon was here. It's got the connection with Magdalene and the Cathars. Earthgate, Rooster's Rock. And it's got land, and you know we want land because we're just going into the pandemic. So suddenly we're waking up to permaculture and growing. And our earlier house, our front garden was the size of 2 cars, or maybe 3. So yeah, on paper it looked very, very logical. So I said, "I know who will tell the truth. Let's bring my mum and dad to have a viewing. They'll be the first ones to say, 'You girl are out of your mind.'" But they didn't. They said, "This is it. This is it. Yes. You can take this on. You'll make something of it. We know you. You'll be able to hold this. But it will be tough. But you will do it." I went, "Mum, Dad, you meant to say no." So in that jubilated moment, we were all round the terrace.
Yes.
And so I just went, "I offer you bleh." And the owner went, "I accept." And in French law, when you verbally agree, you are legally bound. So that was it.
Wow, great.
Yeah.
It's funny because what you were saying about your father and mother, that you thought, I'm gonna say to them, and then it's the same that I had an earlier video with Gert, and he was also had this impulse to come and live here in southern France, but he thought, I'm gonna tell my wife, and then she's gonna say no.
Yeah.
But she didn't.
No.
And you experienced the same thing.
Yeah. And it did not make sense. It was the beginning of the lockdown. Everyone was social distancing. It seemed as if traveling and tourism and closeness to one another had gone out the window. And we're buying this house because we expect people to come. There was no promise of people coming.
No.
But still.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It took some courage.
Yeah. But I could feel Mum and Dad just shining. We believe in you. And I was like, right, well then let me live up to that. And of course then when Dad died, that feeling just grew. I shall live up to that. I will reflect it back to you, Dad.
Yes.
Yeah. And that's a little bit like the pledge. at Montsegur.
Mm-hmm.
Flames, here we come.
Yes,
Yes,
I can see it touches you.
I know it does.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, it's a beautiful legacy.
yeah,
And it's not only in the house, or it's also what you have in the house, the warm welcome,
yeah,
the people gathering, and the most beautiful people gathering,
yes,
and being together, this light beacon.
yes, yeah. I love the sharing that comes. Johnny's blessings, Wendy's gongs.
Yeah.
And I think tonight we have some sort of performance coming up from Mandy and Mark.
Oh,
So
okay.
they're street performers.
Wow.
They've just come back from Saint Marie de la Mer.
Okay.
And they're in the mood.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Shall we look if we can catch up
Yes.
with Pete?
Yes.
Yeah. Let's go. Yeah, because you did get married here, right? And where was it exactly?
Rennes-le-Château
Rennes-le-Château.
on the 22nd of July. Very Magdalene's feast day.
Of course, yes.
2017. So this is for me, this is a long relationship. Long marriage. Yeah, this is my longest one ever.
Really?
Yeah. So all of this is fresh. Whereas Petey, who's had a 14 and a half year marriage.
14 and a half years, okay.
Oh, says, oh yeah, it's like this. Anyway.
So, and how are you dealing with the
Humility. Knowing you can't bring any funny business to this house.
No.
If you bring something messy to this house, it's gonna blow up in your face and affect a lot of people.
Yes.
Because there's some amplification.
Yes.
So, for me, might not look like it, but I try to back down as soon as possible and go to prayer going, this is not our little argument. This is going to turn into a war because of the power coming through the house. And the house does bash us around a lot. We get ourselves into some right old pickles, and then we are humbled by the power and the confrontation and what it's showing us. And we get messages from guests that just turn up at the gates saying, this is a house of joy. You must bring nothing but joy to this house. And then this lady turned and walked away. And like, we had a little argument about an hour ago. What is the chances of that? She was well groomed, she came from Paris, she was intelligent, and she just delivered this message and left. So I just went, yeah. So we are in the perfect setting to get ourselves in sincere alignment.
Yeah, because is it also because you're not only affecting the house, but the house is also affecting you, and of course the whole area is affecting you because you're not only in Cathar country, you're also in the Cathar way of living.
That's right.
And they are called the perfecters, the ones who want to be pure in love. So
it's as if the house is saying you either are or you aren't.
Yes.
And if you're not, you gotta go.
Yeah, and you have decided to stay.
You have decided to stay and let it have its way with us.
Yes.
Have your way with us.
It's almost like Endura.
Yeah.
The purifying process.
Oh yeah.
Of the Cathar, so.
Yeah.
Well, for me, our home and our setup of property is exactly a reflection of relationships out in the world as well. Apparent opposites. If it was a diagram, you could see Anaiya basically occupies the top of the house, the crown chakra, and I occupy the ground with the goats and the soil. It's not as simple as that, and like any relationship between goat and human, it's learning to bring the two together.
Yes.
Because there's natural friction between those two apparent opposites. And it's in that polishing process, the refinement and the fire of relationship, the real shit actually is, not the imagining figures of light, which is subparagraph Jung. So for me, you know, people who want a deep loving relationship, many say that, but this is what it costs. It's this refinement process where nothing unhealed remains hidden. It's got to come to the surface, but from a loving universe wanting the healing. Pretending to be anything else. You know, my old thing is like the white clothes wearing, big teeth, shiny guru characters. That doesn't cut any shit with me. And it normal people in a normal relationship in Northern Europe, whatever, it's not their reality either.
No.
And our old videos were about, you know, this is the nuts and bolts of relating. This is where you have to go. It doesn't mean we have the answers at all. It just means, you know, I'd like to say we choose to, but we don't. We get thrown into these conflict situations, which then it's up to us how we meet them, and that's the difficult bit. Not going up in what I feel is the masculine's disempowered frustration and anger, which comes out in domestic violence.
Yes.
And you know, the history of women's suppression at the hands of the shadow masculine, not the masculine. You know, we're all coming out of that process, or the hidden nature of it all, where everything's being seen now. It doesn't mean to say it's healed. It's in the process of healing, and that's where we are. People that come to stay with us, apparently just bed and breakfast guests, like the French couple that just left, they get touched by something completely unexpected.
Yes.
And it's not for us to tell them what that is. And if ever asked, I'm the one that wants to say, well, what you're seeing was always there within you already. Or where is a shiny surface of a mirror reflecting back at you where you need to look.
Yeah, and what I remembered while you were saying this has to be a house of love, or you used that word, I could remember something that happened last year, that there was something happening with one of the guests, and then you said, I feel a big no. Whoa. And then you got this fierce feminine. And so that love doesn't mean love, love, pink.
Yes.
No, love is also straightforward, being authentic, and hold your grounds, or say what your boundaries are.
Yes.
So let me get that straight, you know, for the people who are watching this video.
Yes.
It's not pink.
No.
The loving art of ass-kicking.
Yeah, the loving art ass-kicking.
Because, I mean, for us it gets magnified, for example, with the goats.
Yeah.
You can't be all loving with them, because they don't respond to conversation in that sense. You have to be clear. If we're crossing a road, we're going over now, and you all follow right now, because you know, lives are at risk. So, and sometimes humans are that way too. You know, especially perhaps men need this kind of clarity of the old way of being told what to do. And if there's a moment of you know, lives are at stake, and when that moment's gone, stepping away from that and re-inviting feminine qualities once the danger's over. You know, the goats can go where they want in the field and eat what they like. So it's that balance again between apparent strictness and apparent, what's it called, laissez-faire.
Yeah, and you can also know the difference between when you want to control something, or you say it from something that's not from your own sense of control, but what wants to happen, or what is necessary at the moment. You can feel the difference. In my experience, I don't know.
Definitely.
Yeah.
The level of intention. You can feel the difference between an ego and right action.
Yes.
Even if the people on the receiving end don't see it, don't
Exactly.
want to see it, or unable to see it.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's in that sense it's almost I was going to say impersonal, but it's almost transpersonal. So
Yeah.
it's bigger. It's for the bigger good, or it wants to happen in the field, and you're saying it, and somebody can take it personal, or I can feel, do I have to say stop or no? But it's transpersonal. It wants to happen. It's for the benefit for me, the other, everybody included. And if I don't do it, then I'm not giving love.
Yeah.
Something like that. Pleasing.
Pleasing, yes. Or I don't want to be too much for the other person, or don't want to hurt your feelings, or something like that.
Or don't want to have conflict. Like,
No.
Scandinavians known as being conflict-led, as Swedes avoid conflict at all costs.
Yeah, but because Pete, I want to ask you, because you have a history of being in the army. So if you have, we're talking about conflict and handling conflict, and what did, I'm just curious, what did you decide to go into the army? What was there for you that you liked, or what you needed at that moment?
So I was an only child to divorced parents. My mother and I moved to London, well away from all my family and friends that I had grown up with. So single parent, she's out working way too much, no connection with her, no time. I'm going away to school, as in every day I'm travelling by train long distance, twice. So I had a so-so education without any great expectations, you know, sort of central London, be stacking shelves in a shop. Not that that's wrong, but you know, that's the way life looked. So my school had a cadet force, and I really enjoyed the whole structure, you know, at an early age of, there are rules and regulations, there are, you know, if you do something wrong, there's an effect. There's great camaraderie. It's very much a team effort kind of thing. Talking of which, so transitioning into the army at 17 and a half was a no-brainer. It was kind of like, looking back, I know it gave me the idea of a father figure, old school, where there is structure, where there is somebody older and wiser than you imparting knowledge, even if it's a grooming process. And amazing places to travel, you know, challenge situations very early. Companionship, yeah, absolutely. And incredible times, you know, sharing. I was in the first Gulf War, for example, and one of our conversations is, you know, what are we doing here really? Why are we otherwise intelligent guys with multi-million-dollar training behind us in the systems we're operating in? Why would we be doing this? And it's kind of the only sane reason any of us could come up with is for each other.
Yes.
We've trained so hard and over so many years together. I want to do my very best to make sure you guys live to go home again. It's that kind of level.
It's beautiful.
You don't get that anywhere else anymore in a modern life.
But you should, I think you should have this sense of companionship when you're interacting with another person, that you stay in this brotherhood or sisterhood, and you stay committed, and no matter what, even though the other one is maybe deceived about himself, or thinks himself like, I don't know, angry, a victim, or I don't know, coming from her or his ego, and staying committed to the brotherhood and sisterhood. That is what I imagine the Cathars were all about, and what you in first hand already experienced.
I mean, you could, Montegure's not far away, you know, the crusade against the Cathars happened, probably some of them walked in this way to get to the castle, tens of thousands of soldiers.
Yes.
In a modern context, using the old warrior skills, you know, the Templars are still set up as a model of
It's
being
really
masculine,
silly.
using the same courage, Kylie, using the same courage in relationship to go into those battlefields.
Yeah.
Other men would fear to tread, but because you have to, because it's the right thing to do, not because it's popular, but because this is the time we have to, I have to go into myself and dare to open places I don't want seen in public, with you doing the same thing.
Yes.
That's the real challenging sort of battlefield, where the wreckage left after. This is a great phrase by Jeff Brown. Is the divine masculine setting aside its sword and shield and suits of armor as a warrior in transition. It's like such a great kind of those skills need to be reapplied in a modern relational context.
Yes. So that is the context where mostly men are in. Now, can you maybe also translate it to the how to say the challenges where women are in,
I would say I get to meet a lot of ladies who feel they're in the same position as Pete because of city life, because of they're on their own, they're a recent divorcee, they raising their kids by themselves, so they find themselves in the masculine, and they know their next part is to make that transition into the feminine. But they've got themselves in such a position, usually around housing and schooling and transport and finances, that they just can't see how.
No.
How on earth am I meant to make this transition? So I feel that could be what's quite prevalent at the moment, this deep longing and the looking around at the life with the mind saying, I don't know how this one's going to work. But I really feel that if you just come into your longing and move like we did this morning, or listen as we do to Wendy's Gong, or be in the presence of someone like Johnny who's transmitting a different, to me.
Yes.
No, it's not, it wasn't masculine or feminine actually,
No.
it just was.
Yeah.
But just by being in it, it will inform you and you will feel things lining up for that transition to happen, and to trust not knowing, and to trust and learn to be comfortable with not having a plan. And we've been doing that all week.
Yes. Good practice here.
Surrendering to the changes and believing faithfully that there is a timing and a precision to all of this.
Yes.
But it's out of human hands. And so those little adjustments can make a huge difference to that person who feels they're stuck in a masculine world or embodiment.
And it's also something like sometimes I feel that women are thinking they have to do it all by themselves.
Yeah.
And of course you have to do it yourself, but my phrase is, I have to do it myself, but I'm not supposed to do it alone. And you guys here have this place where you, for me, you embody this phrase. Yes, you have to do it yourself, but you don't have to do it alone.
Yes.
Because you're helping a lot of women, right, in this making this transition.
Yes, and I also, with this guy Johnny, going back to him again, so perhaps it's seen as if myself and Christy we're giving this feminine energy. Now in comes you, masculine, offering some support. In comes Johnny, just out of nowhere. So it's a tapestry. It's a collide. It's like those things we had when we were kids. We turn the wheel and another component comes in just at the right time.
That's great, because that's exactly what the idea behind these videos, because I'm making these videos with all kinds of persons. Then I get a lot of viewers from different angles onto what is Gnosticism, what are the Cathars about, and all those together point to something that is in those views or in those perspectives, and at the same time transcending them.
Yeah, absolutely. The other day when you were holding the two ladies, I know from both of them that was up there with a spiritual awakening or a deep embodiment. Such a simple act, to be able to have absolutely no protection running, no guard at all, and just rest the head on a man's beating chest. And I was the witness to that, and it's feeding me that my dear friends can find rest on your chest. And you must have felt amazing to have these, a young one and an older one, and you're going into your instincts.
Yes.
So the human gesturing, the human act of sharing, and the big profound waves of awakening light, to me, weigh the same amount.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Oh, beauty.
I think the goats are saying, okay, that's enough. That's a wrap.
Make sure you've got my bum.
Carly butt.
Carly, the butt of Carly. That's a wrap. Anaiya, what about the goats? What are they all about? Tell me the secret of the goats.
Well, we've always wanted this idea of an animal sanctuary, animal refuge. And then there's not too many of them in France. So these goaties, they actually came to us as babies. So they weren't actually in need of rescue. They came from the most wonderful farm. Beautiful young couple had reared them, so they didn't need rescuing. But they set a path that I've never seen before with Pete. So Pete's had no sort of farming background, but there was something about the goats and Pete that began happening. First of all, they became friends, they became equals, which I liked very much. But then love started to blossom, like real love, family love, like children love. So I'm sitting back in amazement. And then I noticed how the guys would go off with Pete on the walk, like we're doing now. And the same thing, so these kind of armored up men would suddenly start opening because the goats are around. And stroking and petting and opening up to Pete. So I'm like, oh, hang on a minute. It's having an effect on more than just one. And the 5 girls, I mean, as you can see, I love them enormously, but Petey spends the time with the 5 girls, whereas I have bottle fed the 2 boys. So now I'm in on it. Now, yeah. It's more than friends, it's like angelic friends.